A relationship is like a dance. It takes two to tango. Want to have healthy and successful relationships filled with passion, fun, and harmony? Hi, and welcome to the Two to Tango Show with Linda Sutton, a podcast that explores how we can improve your relationships with God, yourself, your intimate partners, and the community. Tune in and learn actionable insights and tips you can use to improve your relationships. The battle of the sexes ends here. Join Linda Sutton today and take your relationships to a whole new level while having fun every step of the way.
Welcome to the Two to Tango Show, where our role and our goal is to help you with all of your relationships, from your relationship with God and self, intimate partner and family, community, nature, and nations. Hi, I am your host and usually doing the most, Linda Sutton, and I'm so excited to be tackling today the number one piece of information you absolutely must have before you make any and all relationship decisions. You heard me. The number one piece of critical information that you must have before you make any and all relationship decisions. Now, of course, we're here in a relation. We're at the here at the Two to Tango Show. We're a relationship show, and of course, our goal is to help you with all of your relationship types, from both personal and interpersonal to professional. And this piece of information is essential for both of those personal and professional relationships, but is critical for any personal relationship decisions that you make. So, the number one piece of information that you absolutely must have before making any of these relationship decisions is you must understand your purpose. That's right. You have got to understand and know what your purpose, your life purpose is before you make any relationship decisions, any critical relationship decisions. Now, any one of us that's had been in more than one relationship, I'm sure you may be aware of this idea of what I call the crash and burns. And these are crash and burns are filled relationships that seem like they were just, when you got on the other side of them, you just thought they were going to destroy your life. You know, you may have started out in an interaction with someone, there was chemistry, there was connection, you seemed to like them, they liked you, you seemed to get along, had a lot of fun. And then after a period of time, things just seem to go south, or as I like to say, they seem to go to Hades in the handbasket. And all of a sudden, before you know it, your heart is broken, your pillow is tear stained, and you're picking up the pieces of your life, you're picking up the pieces of your trust, dusting yourself off to rebuild your life, only for it to happen again. And so you may be in a point in your life where you're like, oh, you're so frustrated. You may be in a situation where you're frustrated with relationships. You may be frustrated with the opposite sex. You may even be in a place where you're ready to just kind of throw in the towel on relationships and just have what we like to call, one of my friends like to call, fur babies. So you may have just like saying, forget it. I throw my hands up. I don't know. It's just not working out for me. So never mind. I'm just going to have my Galentines and Friendsgivings instead of Thanksgivings for the rest of my life. But what if I told you that there's a piece of information that you could have that would assist you in this? And this kind of insight was revealed to me during one particular meditation. And I call them my meditations, and my meditations quickly turn into revelations. And as I was reflecting on my own past failed relationships and having a come to Jesus moment, as I like to say, reflecting on my own relationships, I kind of sat down and was in meditation and prayer about what was it that I was missing. In other words, I saw the patterns, I saw the different things that were occurring, the different patterns that I was seeing over and over again. And so I realized that I had a blind spot when it was coming to certain relationships. And so I sat down in this space to journal and write and reflect and ask of myself and ask in my prayer meditation, okay, what was the information that I was missing? What did I miss? What didn't I see? What was the red flag? Like, where was the gap that allowed me to continue to make the same errors over and over again or to make relationship errors or mistakes? What did I need to understand either about relationships, myself, or both so that I could have successful relationships and make successful relationship choices and decisions? And it was interesting because the response that came to me and came into my heart, into my spirit, is that I was making choices that were not aligned with my purpose. And when that kind of revelation and realization came to me, I was, light bulb went off. Now, why was this so surprising realization, revelation to me? In part, it was because it dawned on me that as this was kind of unfolding in front of me and inside of me, is that I was making relationship decisions based on kind of what I had learned about relationships, meaning that you fell in love and you were finding someone who was compatible and you were, looking for the one, and just kind of you made a list of characteristics that you wanted and all these different things that, are definitely a part of the relationship process. But I was doing it from a place of something that was outside of me, that in other words, this is the things that I had learned about, how to pick a partner and how to choose an appropriate partner and things like that. But there was a piece of information that was missing, which is, who am I? What am I here to do? What was I born to do? And what are the things that are necessary, people, places, and things that are necessary for the fulfillment of that thing, which is my purpose? So, so that we can kind of get into the trenches on this, let's just start with purpose. Like when I say purpose, what do you mean? It's like, okay, Linda, you're talking about the number one thing, the piece of critical information that I absolutely must have is I must understand my life purpose. So, what is purpose? Well, purpose is defined by the Oxford Dictionary. And you guys know by now that I'm all about going back to the source, going back to the definition of a thing to get insight. And purpose, as defined in the Oxford Dictionary, is the reason for which something is done or for which something exists. It is the reason for which something exists. As a verb, purpose means to have as one's intention or objective. Now, let me reframe that in a way that might even make more sense. One of my absolutely most favorite African proverbs, and it's kind of one of these proverbs that I live by on so many levels. And the African proverb is, if you do not know the purpose of a thing, you will abuse it. And to me, purpose is understanding of why you were created, why you were born. What are you here to do? And whatever your faith, whatever your belief, whether you say spirit or God, everything that is in creation, in nature and beyond, has a purpose. It has a thing a reason for which it exists. It has a thing or function that it is to fulfill, or a thing that it is to do. It has a thing that it does. Every person is here for a reason. They exist for a reason. There's a reason, a purpose, an intention, an objective for their very existence. Every single person, every single place, every single thing in creation, in nature, has that thing, and it is purpose. It is the reason for its existence. It was the reason that it is and was created. This is critical because when you understand that your life has a purpose, that there is a reason for your existence, there is something that you are to fulfill, there is something that you are to do, there is something that you are to be here in creation on this planet while you're here, then that completely reframes and restructures your understanding of your life. Not just the thing that you are to do, but everything in it that exists, everything that's in your life, that exists in your life, becomes a part of that purpose. So, once again, if you do not know the purpose of a thing, meaning if you don't know the reason why it was created, if you don't understand the reason that it exists, then you will abuse it. Or, and said another way, you will attempt to use it outside of its purpose. So, if you don't understand, like a hammer is a building tool, and its purpose is to pound and remove nails for the purpose of building. And so you can use a hammer for a doorstop, but that is not the purpose of it. That wasn't why it was created. That wasn't the vision. When a hammer was envisioned, it was envisioned to pound and remove nails. So that is the purpose of the hammer, is a building tool. Its function, it pounds, it removes nails. So all of those things are inherent. You can use it for other things, but that was not what it was created to do. And so therefore it will not function optimally outside of its created purpose, and as we call it, its design, or as I like to call it, the divine design. So if you do not know the purpose of a thing, you will abuse it. Equally with a person or yourself. If you don't understand your purpose, if you don't understand the reason that you're here, then you will attempt to function outside of that. And just like with a hammer, even though you can use it as a force, as a door stop, but it's not operating in its function fully and optimally. When you are not operating in your purpose, then you will not function optimally as well. So that is really, really important. A second thing is that's my favorite African proverb, I've got to say. But I have a statement that kind of extends a step further when it comes to that proverb. And that is, just because the purpose of a thing is unknown to you does not mean that it does not have one. So that's where I take it a step further, because just because you don't know a person's purpose, just because you don't know your own purpose, just because you see this plant here and you don't know what the purpose of this plant is, just because you don't know what it is, doesn't mean that it doesn't have one. Okay. And this is really, really important, because when we realize that everything has a purpose, whether or not we know it or understand it, number one, we can seek what its purpose is, whether it's your purpose, whether it's the purpose of another thing, whether it's the purpose of for another person or for another thing. You can seek to understand what that purpose is. And then even if you don't understand the purpose of what its function is, you can still respect that it has one, even though it's outside of your understanding or is outside of your awareness. So then you can have a respect for the fact that everything has a function and a purpose, and you can give it the space to operate in its purpose and or function. And even if you don't get it, even if you don't get it, even if you don't understand it, even if it doesn't make sense to you. Okay. So that is really, really important. Now, the analogy that I want to use in terms of why I say purpose is the single most important piece of information that you absolutely must have before making a relationship decision is because purpose has inherent within it all of the things that are necessary to function or to fulfill it. Linda, what do you mean when you say that? What do you mean that purpose has within it everything that it needs to fulfill its function, or fulfill its destiny? Destiny meaning the future events. I liken purpose to a seed. So a seed represents the fundamental form of a plant of some sort. And so let's say a mango tree, because I like mangoes. So a mango seed, even though when you see it in seed form, it does not look like a fully mature and developed and blooming and producing fruit producing mango tree. All the information and everything that is needed in order for it to become that and become a mature fruit bearing tree is within the seed. So all of the information that is needed for you to fulfill your purpose when you came in as a baby is within the seed of you. Now, even in the beginning, though, that mango seed doesn't look like it's well, actually, a mango seed is not that small. That's more like a mustard seed. Mango seed is a little bit bigger. The husk on the mango seed looks a little more like this. And then inside of it, if you crack open that, you actually get to see the seed. Um, so the seed hasn't, so when you look at it, the seed of the mango, it doesn't look like the tree. It doesn't even look like the fruit. But all the information that is needed to create that is there. All the information that is needed to become that is there. And so the seed not only has the information that it needs, but when you put it in the ground, it also has the ability to attract all of the resources that it needs in order to unfold and become that thing. So when you put a seed in the ground, the seed now has all, not only the information to become the mango tree, but now it has the ability to draw to it and absorb all of the nutrients and minerals that are needed in order for it to begin to grow and start to flourish. It knows how to turn itself and take its leaves towards the sunlight in order to receive what it needs to convert the sunlight into through chlorophyll and to grow in that way. It knows how to take its roots to go find sources of water. So it can actually it starts to unfold in a way where it starts to attract everything that it needs: water, nutrients from the soil, sunlight, whatever air is required in order to support it in its growth and unfoldment to become that mature tree, that mature fruit bearing tree that we know of as a mango tree. And also all the corresponding fruit, which has additional seeds in it. Ooh, I love that. I just love the way it's just seeds. There's just so much intelligence there. Not only does a seed have the ability to attract everything that it needs in order to grow and flourish and to unfold to become the fullness, the full manifestation of that which is a mature mango tree slash orchard. But also the seed has within it information that it needs to repel things that would come against or undermine its purpose or unfoldment. So another way for me, like for example, with roses, roses have thorns on them. The thorns are protective mechanisms. So as beautiful as roses are, and you guys always see that I have them on the scent, it also has thorns on it. And the thorns are to help protect it. So it repels a certain type of animal or insect or what have you, depending on the plant. And so it also has certain things that attract what it wants, like bees or butterflies, but it may have bristles or thorns or a prickly leaf or an unpleasant smell that repels those sorts of insects or pests or things that it doesn't want to bother it, because those things might undermine its growth and development and therefore its ability to eventually fulfill its purpose and fully mature. Now, also with the seed analogy, in that seed, it has not only the information in terms of what it needs to unfold into its full maturation, it has the information that lets it know what its seasons are. So every seed matures in a different time frame. So there's a season for it to come into maturity. There's a season for it to bear fruit. There's a season for it to produce not only fruit, the blossoms that create the fruit, but the fruit that also generates other seeds. And so every seed has the information that's related to the timing of when it comes into fullness, or the timing for when it's come into maturity. For some plants, it's very, very, their seasons are very, very short, and the plant may mature very quickly. Other plants may take years and years before they become mature and begin to bear fruit. And so the timing and the timing and information as it relates to seasons is information that's in the seed, and it's going to be different for each and every seed. The final thing is that, in terms of talking about this, is that the seed also requires a certain type of environment that is fertile so that it can flourish. And this environment consists of the soil, the surroundings, the conditions. There's a biome or a habitat, which is like the flora and the fauna. There is a habitat that is optimal conditions for that seed to unfold and manifest into the fullness of what it is. So I went through all of that information about the seed because the seed represents the purpose. You too have a purpose, like and like a seed. The purpose is the information within you about why you exist, what you're here to do. And with that, just like the seed is able to attract everything it needs for its growth and maturation, for its unfoldment to maturation and fruit bearing, you too have the ability to attract all the people, places, and conditions that are necessary for you to fulfill your purpose. People, places, and circumstances that are necessary to fulfill your purpose. You can attract what you need, and that includes people. You can also have within you things that will repel the things that you don't need. Anything, people, places, circumstances, conditions that might undermine or derail the unfoldment of your purpose to maturation. Now, you still may, just like a seed or a plant, you may still attract pests and organisms that will attempt to undermine your unfoldment or maturation, just like pests and organisms may come towards a plant to try to undermine its unfoldment and maturation. However, there are things that are in place that can support the protection of that plant, whether it's inherent like thorns or prickly leaves, or whether it's in the environment where there may be certain insects that kind of work in a symbiotic relationship with that plant. So those insects that are in the environment may not ever attack the plant, but any pest that might attempt to attack the plant, that those insects or other types of animals or flora and fauna might protect it and be protective of it in that way, because that particular insect might eat it, and so therefore the environment winds up being protective. So it's just so beautiful. You, as in terms of your purpose, there are fertile environments that will support the successful unfoldment and maturation of your purpose, just like the seed. There's certain people, there's certain conditions, there's certain environments, there's certain things that you need around you, and especially in terms of people, that will support the unfoldment and maturation of your purpose. And then there are people that will undermine and derail your purpose. And this is why it's important that you understand what your purpose is. Because when you understand what your purpose is, your life purpose is, when you understand the reason that you exist, when you understand what it is you're here to do, then you're able to identify those people, places, and things that will support the unfoldment and maturation of you and your purpose. And you will also be able to identify those things that will derail, throw off, undermine, and potentially destroy the fulfillment of your purpose. So when you have purpose at the center of your relationship decisions, then those who are met and assigned, if you will, are meant to be in your life to help and assist with that unfoldment, those seasons, will be things that will be supportive of you, things that will nourish you, things that will ensure that you get to the next stage and the next season and the next level of your maturation, from seedling up to plant, up to tree, up to blossoming, up to fruit bearing. Okay. And then the cycle all over again. Equally, you will also be able to see when there are people, places, and circumstances that seem to be getting you off track from what your life purpose is. Then you will know and start to pick up on, like, okay, this person, place, or thing doesn't align with where I'm going and what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish. Yeah, it might be fun. Yeah, you might be having a good time, but the crash and burns happens because they're not meant to be there. There's not synergy. They're not there to support the unfoldment of you into the next phase and beyond. And so, if they're not there to support it, then they are like a pest. They will destroy it. Okay. So, that's really, really important that you understand that. So, when you start looking at relationships, both personal and professional, through this lens, it'll actually help you with your vetting process a lot faster. Because, like I said, people especially will come into your life either to support your life purpose and who you are, and not only who you are, but who you are in the process of becoming, or they're going to undermine that process. And I want to restate again the process of who you are becoming, because in the seed understands that has the information not only to become the mature version, but the seed also has information to become every version of that plant that leads up to the mature tree. This is important because those who are assigned or a part of the biome, the habitat, the fertile environment for the unfoldment of you will not only be able to support the who you are, but they are also in the process of understanding that no matter what stage you are in, that their support is support of the whole, the at any stage. Because at the end of the day, the information, even though the goal is there, every single stage along the way, the seed has the information. All of the different versions of you along the process to become the mature, fully manifest version of you in your purpose, all of those versions, the information is there. A person may not go with you through all of those versions and through all of those seasons, but they will be in support of any one of those versions if they are aligned with your purpose. So they may be assigned or supportive of you in your seedling stage, your seedling and sapling stage, but they may not be assigned or able to support you in your fully mature state. And so, once again, having an understanding of those things, those elements, will help you to begin to navigate your relationship decisions. But the first thing that you have to understand is you have to know what your purpose is. Now you're saying, okay, Linda, well, that makes perfect sense. Like, once I know why God created me, once I know why I'm here on this planet and what I'm here to do, and the seed information is there and it's unfolding in front of me. Okay, if I don't already know what that is, how do I uncover that? And there is a process that you can go through that will help you cover that. I mean, as a child, the interesting thing is a lot of children are closer and they have a real clear understanding of kind of who they are and what they're supposed to be when they grow up, even if their parents and teachers and adults around them might not get it. And the reason why is because oftentimes your purpose is not necessarily for the moment that you're born. Your purpose is also because you as a child are going to mature. Your purpose is for a time and a season for a world that does not yet exist. So you do not yet exist. And that world that you are purposed to step into as a fully mature adult doesn't exist as well. And so this is why children and parents kind of really disconnect when it comes to their purpose, because youth, they understand kind of have a sense of who what their purpose is, but it's for a time that doesn't exist. And so parents don't often, because they may not be purpose thinking, may not always get that. So there's a process where you can go into kind of those early stages, those early gifts, those early longings, those early stirrings, those early callings, those early thoughts, those early visions of who you were going to be when you grew up. That is where you can begin to start to create your life purpose statement. And through an evaluation of kind of those childhood thoughts, dreams, and visions, your skills and talents and abilities, your propensities, your natural gifts, bringing all of that information together, plus meditation and prayer time, all of those facets and aspects can come together to help you to get an understanding and a revelation of what your life purpose is. And then you can write your statement and use that to guide you in every major area of life, every major decision that you need to make in your life. And especially when choosing those two to partner with or walk alongside of or walk with in your journey to purpose and destiny. Now, for those of you who want to actually go through that process, and this is something that I do a lot in when I'm coaching individuals and couples in and kind of the work of tango, because it's really really important, even as you choose the type of partners that you want to dance with, that you have an understanding of you and your style and where you're going and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to facilitate, so that you can be more discerning and who you're choosing to dance with. And so I actually have a crafted for anyone who's interested in walking through that process. Because I walk so many people through that process, I finally decided to create a workbook and mini course called How to Find Your Life Purpose in 7 Days. So it's a free resource for a limited time. It's called Find Your Life Purpose. And if you go to the website on www.the2 Show, on the homepage, you should see an icon that will allow you to access that workbook and that mini course and go through the 7 day process or the 7 step process and craft your own life purpose statement so that you can have the most critical piece of information that you need in order to make discerning and wise relationship decisions. If you already have a sense of your purpose, but you want to clarify it and tweak it and even make it even more clear for this season in your life, because you may have different language or different understanding, then it is for people that not only don't have a life purpose statement, but those who want to kind of clarify and tweak it and refine the nuances of it. And the reason that I bring that up is because as you become more and more masterful in your dance, the road to mastery moves from the bigger, gross ideas to the nuances and the fine and refined details that as you get closer and closer to mastery, the mastery is not in the big, but is in the details. And so, for those of you who already have been walking with a life purpose statement, as you move into another season, as you move into another phase of your life, you may want to go back and revisit and refine that life purpose statement so that you can have those last little nuanced details that you will need in making the selections in the future. All right. So we have been discussing here the number one most critical piece of information that you absolutely must have before you make any relationship decisions here on the Tutu Tango Show. And as we say here on the Tutu Tango Show, it not only takes two to tango, but absolutely it takes you to tango. Ciao.
We have just concluded another moving episode of the Two to Tango Show with Linda Sutton. Did you enjoy the show? If so, head over to the2totangoshow.com and discover a whole array of resources to help you spice up your relationship in every way. That's tangoshow.com. We would also like to hear from you, so don't forget to leave a review or feedback. Join us again next week for another entertaining and fun episode. Until then,